Hi, my name is Amber Leraas. I grew up in church and had a loving family all the way up until I was about 13 years old. I really felt like I was on this path with the Lord. Did all the things, participated in youth groups and church activities, and just loved the life that I was leading. And at 13 years old, my dad died unexpectedly. And I really feel like that was a point in my life where the trajectory of my life shifted. And so at about 15 years old, I started drinking alcohol, and at 16 years old, I got involved in my first serious relationship. And it wasn't long after that that I found out that I was pregnant. Well, I believed that I had an image to uphold. I cared so much about what other people thought of me. I wanted desperately to make this problem go away, and the only thing that I could think of, the only solution I had for myself was abortion. I don't even know how I knew about abortion. I don't even know how I knew where to go, but I gathered a couple of my friends. We went to get a pregnancy test. Once I got the pregnancy test, I was told about abortion as an option and knew right away that that's what I was going to do. I didn't think about any other options. I never once considered anything else. I never had anybody else even tell me about other options. Selfishly, I did not want to address what was going on in my life at that time, and I was this selfish teenager. I cared more about what people thought of me. I cared more about my future and the plans that I had for my life, and I believed that lie. At 16 years old, I did unfortunately choose that. I wanted to forget about it. I wanted to move on with my life. I didn't want to think about it ever again because I had such a sense of shame that I was this teenage pregnant girl. I wanted to hide it, and I didn't want anybody to know. But the funny thing is that after that abortion experience, the shame was like 1,000 times worse, because now I was hiding this secret that I had to live with for the rest of my life. All the way through up until my late 20s, I had convinced myself that what I did was the right thing. I told myself it was a clump of tissue, just like what everybody had told me. I believed that because it was legal, that it was okay or it couldn't be that bad. Right at that time in my life, I was introduced to a pregnancy resource center, and while I was there, I went there to volunteer. I thought it was a really great mission. You get to help people who are struggling with a pregnancy decision. You get to provide resources and counseling and all these free things for men and women who are going through an unplanned pregnancy. And I thought, what an amazing thing to do. At the same time, I was going through an abortion recovery program. I was also going through the volunteer training, and I was learning what an abortion actually was. For the very first time, I really had never thought about it. I was the person who pushed it away, pretended it didn't happen, and moved on with my life. And when I started learning the truth about abortion, they actually talked in detail about the procedures and what that involved, and not in a mean way, but in an educational way. Like, this is what abortion actually is. And I, for the first time, recognized and came face to face with the truth of what I had done. And this was all, like I said, this was also when I was wanting to have children of my own. It was that day, though, that I cried and cried and prayed and begged God to forgive me. And He did. He did. He met me in my brokenness. He met me in my shame. He met me in my grief. And He took it all away. And He removed the shame from my life at that moment. And He made me new. I feel like from that day on, I finally knew the truth about who I was, what God's redemptive love really looked like. When we come with a sincere heart that wants to change, a sincere heart that recognizes where we messed up, He will meet us there. And that's what He did for me. And it wasn't long after that, within just a few months, I was pregnant with my first son. And I am, to this day, one of the most grateful people in the entire world to be able to have children and to be a mom. Not long after going through the volunteer training, started sharing my testimony more publicly. I wanted people to know that you can come out the other side healed and forgiven and set free. But what we do at the Community Pregnancy Center now with the Finding Peace program is we now are able to walk other women who've been through an abortion experience help them to find the healing and forgiveness that they need. Help them to break through things like shame and anger and regret. Women are just like me, being able to come to terms with their decision, come to terms with their loss, come to terms with their past, and recognize that they can be set free by Jesus. I do often think about what would have been different if I would have sat across the room from a person who said, wait a second, there's another way, or you're not alone, or let me pray with you before you make a decision. If I would have had anyone help me in that way, I think it would have been a game changer. I am so grateful to be a mother, and I believe that that's a gift from God that I didn't necessarily deserve, but by the blood of Jesus and because he covered my sin, I got to be a mom.